Okay, so today I will give a quick reintroduction about how to design reverse osmosis system professionally. And this is something very new to many people in this industry because previously we are using ROSA, okay, to do the design of our system. But ROSA is no longer enough if we want to predict exactly how much system recovery the system can be achieved and what will be the fouling and scouting potential. This is something always happen. Okay, let me go to the first page. Hold on. Okay, so this is the general problems with our current customers now. With unprofessional, unprofessional competitors, usually, they estimate all the system recovery design is based on 50%, right?
Yeah.
So this is the general ideas that people always have, but this idea is something they come up by experience, but it's not calculated precisely with ROSA and also with the chemical projection software. And so a lot of time this kind of concept they didn't know why. They just thought, okay, this is the typical design that the industry has, but it's not like that. Okay, and improper sizing of pipe and pump. Like sometimes I see some competitors is having 80-40 membranes, maybe 4 pieces, but their feed pipe is only 1 inch. And the pump, they are just converting, for example, they are getting 4 cubic meters per hour, maybe the feed flow is 8 cubic meters per hour, but the pipe size that they have chosen was incorrect. So this is also another issue during the design process that unprofessional competitors can have. Improper membrane arrangements, different stage. Why should we have different stage? I will explain that later. And the most important part is most of people does not know how to read water quality analysis correctly. Okay, including myself. Previously, before I learned about Avista software, I also do a lot of assumption. Like I only reading based on the experiences, but there is actually a very scientific calculation behind it, and there's a very from the Avista software we are able to find out exactly the fouling and scouting potential based on this water analysis. And this is something very new also to this industry, although many other competitors, chemical competitors, they also have their own software, but their software is based on Avista's old design, maybe 15 years ago. I will explain that later because that relates to the history of Avista. Okay. Incorrect pretreatment design. So without reading the water quality analysis correctly, basically you will also end up with incorrect pretreatment designs. So resulting you will get shorter membrane lifespan, normally from 1 month to maximum 3 years. Okay, but actually remember this, all membrane can last for more than 10 years. if the system is designed correctly, actually there is no more requirements of buying new membranes. So which is a bad thing for membrane wholesalers because they can sell less but with more chemical though. But this is something just for you to know, and you can play with that later. Okay, and waste lots of water because if we are able to use the software correctly, actually you can save a lot of water, and this is pretty critical for South Africa customers because water nowadays, people cares about how much water is wasted. So with the water quality analysis that we are getting should be matched exactly the requirements for, so that we are able to guarantee the customer how much recovery rate the system can be designed for. And this is something not just by guessing, but this is something we can calculate it scientifically from Avista software. Okay, so
but it also depends on the brand of membrane.
Yes, but it doesn't make much of difference. Okay, can I go to the next page if you have any question? Okay, so the design requirements. So first of all, we need raw water quality analysis. I will show you the exact later on the next page. Also required production capacity, treated water quality requirements, space availability, and also minimum recovery rates. Okay, required production capacity is something a lot of end user, they didn't calculate it precisely, and so by the end of the day when they get a system, the system may run on and off very oftenly. Like there was one system I have supplied to Indonesia. It was like 20 cubic meters per hour, but the system was on for 10 minutes, off for 5 minutes, on for 10 minutes, off for 5 minutes. So that means, on, off, meaning when the water is full, system comes off. But when the water is starting using, the system turns on again. This is something. This is the adjustment of the level switch that causing this. But also, customer is actually not using that much of water, but their system is over designed. So when the system is turned on and off too often, that also make the lifespan of the system shorter. Okay, so before we design a system with the correct production capacity, we should always consider if the system can be run for continuously at least 2 hours without stop. Then that will be something more suitable for the real requirements of the production capacity. Is this clear for you?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, the more precise information you have at the beginning, the less risk system can fail, less cost the customer will spend afterwards, leading to win-win situation. Okay, so this is also something, you can be different compared to any competitors in the market, because nowadays, all the competitors in the markets, they just talk about price. End user, they don't know. They have no idea of what kind of service they are getting, and they should be educated by suppliers. And if the supplier is professional enough, they can analyze the cost to the customer, the operating cost. Okay, so if we are able to provide a system that lasts for a long time, then, compared to those competitors whose membrane, whose system only lasts for 1 or 2 years and they need to replace the membrane once every year, the overall cost actually will be higher than having the system that is properly designed and the membrane can last for 10 years. Okay? So, system in terms of operation, system costs, we should be very competitive if we are able to provide more professional service, so that you can sell system price with higher price. Okay, this is very important, and this kind of concept I already give to the Bangladesh people, because in Bangladesh, I believe, it's pretty much like South America. It's very, very price oriented, But after I give this kind of concept, they totally accept it, and they are willing to accept higher price with more professional service. Because with the competitor, they don't give any service at all, and they just, whenever the system fails, you just need to buy more and more spares from those competitors. So it's very important, if you want to avoid price war, you have to educate yourself to more professional level in order to serve the customer more professionally. Okay?
Yes.
So here is the membrane fouling and degradation reasons. There are only 4 reasons. Oxidizing agent. Okay, the reason I mark it in yellow is because this is the only thing that will permanently damage the membrane. If there's free chlorine or ozone in the our system feed water, it will permanently damage the membrane. It basically makes the hole size on the membrane bigger, so that the permeability is increased dramatically, and if that happens, the membrane has to be replaced. There's no other way we can recover that membrane. However, in most of the time, membrane will be fouled or scaling. We're having fouling and scaling issues with those 3 reasons: particulates, inorganic scaling, and organic fouling. Particulates that including carbon fines, muds, iron, particles. Those particles can foul the membrane very quickly within 1 month, or sometimes even within days. So if you are having problem, like if your system customer is having problem with membrane fouling within 1 month, particulate and organic fouling are the most possible reason that caused this fouling issue. Inorganic fouling, inorganic scaling, including calcium carbonates, silica, calcium sulfate, barium sulfate, aluminum, etc. Those are inorganic scaling. Okay, those scaling usually happen after 3 months. So if you have problem within fouling issue within 1 month, particulate and organic are the things that you should focusing on to solve for the pre-treatments. Okay. Membrane fouling and scaling can always be recovered 95 to 100% through CIP process. Okay. Typically, markets is using acid and caustic. Caustic is the cheapest way to do CIP. It is possible to get the membrane back 100% if you do it very properly, but in most of the case, they only recover 90%, or even sometimes less. And remember this, if you didn't recover the membrane 100%, that means there's some existing old scale still on the surface of the membrane, and that old scale is still a very good foundation for the new scale to be built up on it. Understand?
Yes.
Okay, so if the old scale didn't remove completely, after the CIP, the membrane will foul more quickly after the first CIP attempt. Then after the second fouling, you do the CIP again, and that scale will be more difficult to remove. And eventually, by the end of the day, the membrane may have still end up to be replaced after 2 or 3 years, or even 1 year. Okay, so CIP correctly is also the key. But acid and caustic has very limited cleaning performance. Okay, so that's why Avista has a cleaner chemical, or you can source other cleaner chemical from other competitor if they are using different formulations and they claim that works very well. You can do that because Avista cleaner are pretty expensive. They cost. Should I say price here? For cleaner, I think I can say because I think you will never buy cleaners from Avista. It will cost about like $10 per kg. Okay. It's pretty expensive and it's not possible to be sold through distributors. But Avista cleaner is very popular to be used in very big projects, like one system that has 200, 300 membranes in one system. So usually they are aiming to sell directly to end users, municipal projects, and those big customers like Coca-Cola or power plants. They have very huge systems. They just serve them directly to do CIP for them in the US. But in overseas, there are some also very successful case studies from Avista, like the system, the seawater desalination system used in Singapore, providing municipal water supply for the Singapore people. Their system is also maintained by Avista. They are using their chemical, and before they didn't, and that just happened last year actually, because they were also having problem with acid and caustic. They still need to replace the membrane every 3 years, which is very expensive for them. But after Avista joined in, they don't need to do this anymore. The membrane basically can last for more than 10 years. So this is especially, although the chemical itself is very expensive, but it's very economical compared to the old solution they had. Because the old solution they're using acid and caustic. By the end of the time, they still replace the membrane every 3 years, and the cost of that membrane is already, way too expensive than the Avista's chemical. Understand?
Yes.
Okay. So I will go to the next. Okay, we all know this, so I can skip this. This is the basic design of our system. So the design tool that we will be using in the future, in order to design the system very professionally, we should provide a membrane projection using ROSA, and a system projection based on using ROSA and IMS. So ROSA basically helping us to find out what should be the correct pump size for the system, and what should be the working pressure and flow rates. What should be the recovery rate, rejection rate, what should be the membrane array, and also the scaling potential. Okay, scaling potential we can find out. I didn't know this because a lot of time we just put in TDS in ROSA, and if we want to find out scaling potential, we just need to put in all the data in the ROSA. There's a analysis that all the different chemical analysis you can put it to the ROSA software, so they can just give you the calculation of based on this kind of recovery rates, what you will be having, what kind of scaling issue, and this will be told. This will be projected by ROSA, and usually from the ROSA report, by the end of the line you can always see for anti-scalene might be required. Please consult your anti-scalene supplier for correct chemical dosage, or if you want to achieve higher recovery rates, please consult with chemical supplier. So this is always addressed in the ROSA reports. So that's when we want to use Advisor CI from Avista. Advisor CI from Avista is the cutting edge software in the world for chemical dosing calculation. It's the software behind is relates to 30 years experience, and this is actually the 10th version that they already have come up over 15 years. Okay, and The the shareholder of Avis, there are three shareholders. One of the shareholder came up with software and they sold the software to GE 15 years ago. And that software was actually the first version based on very simple calculation of how to use how to do the chemical. And so and GE used that software until now without any reversion afterwards. So basically right now they have much more advanced calculation that can be very precise and very high accuracy on the projection of scaling and faulting potential. So based on this software, we are able to to tell customer that the system is able to achieve up to 95% recovery rate. This is something unbelievable, to a lot of system design, because nobody in the world as our system supplier, they can tell you, okay, this system should be able to. They always say should, but they cannot guarantee 95% recovery. They say, okay, we can try and see what happens. But the software is very accurate that, this is very straightforward. If the water analysis is matching with the real scenario, if the water in the real scenario is not changed, then of course the software projection is very precise. So we can now tell the customer very confidently that the recovery rates can achieve to higher recovery rate based on the analysis. Okay, and we can minimize the dosage rate, and also we can estimate the chemical running cost. So Avista chemical, in terms of chemical running cost, is very low compared to many competitors. They claim that from the US markets, because in US they have their major competitor is actually PWT and what is the other name? Kinley. Okay. Oh, sorry. Genesis, they don't consider their competition, because Genesis, the price of PWT and Genesis, right?
Genesis.
Yeah, Genesis. It's actually not so competitive compared to their price. In terms of price, I think Kinley is more competition to them, but Kinley, they are not as professional as them. They claim that. Okay. Okay, let's move to the next. Okay, system recovery rates can be achieved by two different strategies: concentrated recirculates and multistage. Okay, this is you already know, so can we skip this?
Wait, let me see that again. Okay, just for the sake, because I'm gonna play this to my staff, let's explain it to them.
Okay, so basically each membrane element's maximum recovery rate is only 13 to 30%. In order to achieve the overall system recovery rate can achieve to maximum 95% by below two strategies: concentrated recirculates and multistage. Concentrated recirculate meaning, okay, for example, this is one stage, okay? One stage, we can, the concentrate flow, for example, if we take 30%, meaning only 10 cubic meters come in, 3 cubic meters come out, and concentrate should have 70 cubic meters per hour. But that will be a lot of water to be wasted. So probably I can take 5 cubic meters per hour to be fed back to the pump, and 2 cubic meters per hour drain. So that makes the overall system recovery rate more than 50%. Okay, so this is concentrated recirculates. So the size of the pump will be 10 cubic meters per hour still. So when we say 70%, we don't undersize the pump. We don't undersize the pump. We still need to make the pump capacity enough to take the overall flow velocity. Is this understandable?
Yeah.
Okay. Multistage. So basically you take the concentrate from the first stage to be fed into the second stage. We call that multistage. Okay. 6 elements long vessel with 6 elements inside. I consider that as 6 stage because the first elements concentrate feed directly to the second vessel directly feed into the third vessel. So 6 elements long vessel is considered as 6 stage. So the longer vessel you have, actually the higher recovery rate that you can achieve in terms of system. Okay, so there are 2 strategies, and it's possible that we can combine these 2 together. Having multi-stage at the same time, get the concentrate some of the concentrate recirculates back to the feed at the last stage. So it is also possible to achieve maximum 95%. And all this should be calculated through the ROSA. It can be calculated by hand if you know exactly, or you need to know a lot of mathematics very well. But normally I use ROSA to calculate all this. Okay. So this is very important. Water quality analysis requirements. So if we want to guarantee the customer, okay, if you give me this analysis and we want to guarantee that the system recovery rates and will not fall within 1 year, then this should be the complete analysis that we should be getting. Okay, anything that is missing from here, it's okay, because a lot of time people doesn't have this full analysis. But then we have to warn the customer in advance that this is missing. If the membrane is fouled because of this, this will not be your problem. Okay, this is something you have to warn the customer first, unless they give you another report for what we are having, for what we require here. Okay, this is one thing. Second thing is the water sample. When did they get the water sample? Is it, because water quality can be vary from from time to time, right? So it is always the best to get the worst scenario water analysis. Tell the customer, is it possible that which time of the season should be the worst scenario water quality? Then get that water analysis for us, so we can design a system that is designed for the worst scenario, so that the system can last without any mistake or without any unexpected things happen later on. Okay. Okay, so the red market things are the things that will cause fouling. Calcium, magnesium, iron, manganese, barium, strontium, aluminum, sulfate, bicarbonates, carbonates, fluorides, phosphate, silica. Those red things can cause fouling, scaling issue. The gray items does not cause any harm to the membrane, but the reason we still need this data, because we need to balance the overall iron in the water to make sure the water is correctly balanced. Calcium can combine with bicarbonates, or carbonates become calcium carbonates. Magnesium can combine with those things as well. Calcium sulfate, calcium fluoride calcium phosphate. Only silica alone will not combine with this. Silica will build on top of the other scale. Silica will combine with oxygen and become silicons or silicon oxide. And this is also very hard to remove. Iron is something no antiscalant is able to solve. The feed ion level to the outer membrane should be below 0.1 ppm. Even 0.2 ppm can block the membrane. Okay? But with antiscalant, the maximum allowance is 1 ppm. So with Avistas, and not all the antiscalant, okay? Avistas antiscalant can still take care of free iron up to 1 ppm. If above 1 ppm, there's no way. No other antiscalant in the market is able to solve iron fouling issue. So iron must be removed before the RO system. So DMS65 is the best way to remove iron. And same with manganese. Manganese normally exists with iron together from the well water. Manganese has to be below 0.1 as well, and if above 0.5, it can cause fouling issue. Iron fouling, you can see that very clearly from the end of the membrane and beginning side of the membrane. If you can see reddish coming if you see reddish water on the concentrate flow meter, that's iron. Okay, manganese is black. So if you see some black particles or foulants on the membrane, then it may be caused by manganese. Barium, strontium can be exist in the nature. The limitation, I think, is about 1 to 2 ppm. Barium, aluminum, these things are not in nature but in wastewater. So a lot of people miss those two things because in ROSA, aluminum was not listed in the projection. But in Avistas software, aluminum is listed. Why? Because aluminum is only 0.2 ppm of aluminum can foul the membrane very quickly. And why there is aluminum in the water? Because PAC. PAC is commonly used in the wastewater treatments. It's called flocculants. Okay, lime, coagulants, flocculants is the typical process for wastewater treatments. Okay, and even municipal water supply, they use flocculants. From the tap water, if governments did not control the residual level of aluminum the overdose of coagulants can cause existing aluminum in the water. Okay, so aluminum can also foul the membrane fast, and also antiscalant cannot take care of aluminum issues. So aluminum is something we must check, because a lot of time we miss this, and a lot of time, so that's why a lot of time we didn't know. Customer has sent all the analysis, but membrane is still foul, and we don't know why. And aluminum sometimes is one critical reason that we missed. For example, there's one project in Bangladesh. I just right away they show me when I give out this training, there was one customer calling this customer saying, "Oh, your system is fouling after 1 year, and after they done the CIP, the membrane foul even faster, and what could be the reason?" And I look at the complete process, because river water has high turbidity, so they have sedimentation designed before entering to sand carbon filter, and from the sedimentation they use lime, coagulation and flocculation in the process. And I ask, okay, what kind of flocculation they are using? There are two types of flocculation, PAM and PAC, PEC and PAM. Okay. PAC is polyaluminol chloride, and PAM is polyethylene something I forgot. but both of those polymers can exist in you. If you dose too much of those chemicals, it can also foul the membrane fast, and also anti-scattering is not be able to take care of those problems. So this has to make sure to be removed. Cannot be removed. By the way, those two things cannot be removed. They have to change their coagulants. They have to change the chemical from the coagulation and flocculation process, which doesn't contain aluminum or polymer. Inorganic polymer, okay. Organic polymer may be okay, but inorganic polymer and aluminum is not acceptable. Okay, this is very important. Tap water, like in Taiwan, there's some news saying, oh, the aluminum level is existed in some area. Nobody knows that until you do the test. So it's very important that we get all these analysis tested before we are comfortable to tell the customer if the system can work out without faulting or scaling or not. Okay. Chlorine analysis, these are inorganic analysis. pH, temperature is also very important, don't miss this. Turbidity, SDI, TOC are organic matters. So if we want to predict organic foulings or particulate fouling, only these three things has to be analysis. Okay. Remember this PP cartridges I show you?
No.
Yeah. At that time they didn't tell me turbidity, SDI, and TOC. And after I visited the trip, I asked them to give me the report of those three things. And they are pretty fast. They just give me the report today, and I see turbidity is 0. TOC is 1.5. Oh, the maximum TOC. Okay, TOC should be reading. TOC is total organic carbon. Okay, that's basically the total organic matter in the water. The measurement of total organic matters in the water. Okay, TOC should not, for the feed out, should not exceed 2.5 ppm. If above 2.5 ppm, there's a risk of organic fouling. SDI should be below 3. And the report I'm getting for this type of water, turbidity is 0. TOC was 1.5. It's also okay, but SDI is something we always miss, right? But SDI reading was like 5.3. Okay, so that very clearly explained. Okay, SDI is basically the particles in the water that is bigger than 0.15 micron. Okay, so a lot of time you see the water is transparent clean. Turbidity is very clean, but SDI is that high. That tells you what? Very little tiny particles that eyes cannot see in the water. A lot of them in the water. And the SDI for our feed requirement should be below 3, but now they are getting 5.3. That means normally before I know Avista, I would just propose UF, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be too expensive. But now there's Avista, there's a chemical called coagulation. It's called Alquest. It's a coagulant. So coagulants, okay. Coagulants basically can capture those very fine particles to stick together to become big particles. Then that can be removed through multimedia centrifugal. The general efficiency of multimedia filter is only 25 to 30%. But after coagulant, Avista coagulant RQuest is added, the efficiency of particle removal from multimedia sand filter can achieve up to 97%. This is not said by me. This is mentioned in the technical data sheets of Avista's RQuest 3000 or 6000. Okay, so you can look into that website, that data sheets, technical data sheet. American, when they say something on the data sheets, they don't just say it, they really mean it, and they take full responsibility on it. So this kind of chemical is very effective, and then it's also very high possibility that we can avoid using UF. That makes the overall system too expensive. Okay, so do you have any question, Terence?
No.
Okay, is it very clear?
Yes.
Okay, so it's very important, as I'm saying this again, to get this complete analysis for every project. If customer is having faulting and scouting issue, I believe every day you are getting the same question, right? Just get them this analysis. And this can be a good business for you too, because you are doing analysis for customers, right? And get the missing parts in your lab, okay, so that you can do complete analysis for them. Okay, so now with Avista's chemical, we can now have a very unique design compared to other competitors. Typical pretreatments in the market now is using sand, carbon, water softener as pretreatments. Do you know why? Because
each one has a different job.
Yeah, each of them is doing different jobs. Okay, sand is removing particles, carbon is removing free chlorine and some organic matters, softener is removing hardness. Okay, that old design is typically for municipal water. It's okay, but it's too expensive. Or, it's not that necessary. Okay, first of all, granular activated carbon is in terms of, you need to replace every year, okay, for removing chlorine, because it can be saturated with chlorine after 1 year. You need to replace, and replacement of carbon is very hassle. You need to take out the carbon and you need to fill in the carbon. It takes probably half day for 2 people to go to the site, and if the site is very far away, and it's a headache for actually the maintenance people. And that's one thing. Second thing, the cost of active carbon is not that cheap. Okay, and it's also space is also take a lot of space. So those 3 column prefiltration, a lot of time I believe, even you have those 3 filter, 3 pretreatments, you are still getting scaling and faulting issues with the membranes, right? A lot of time. Okay. So I'm proposing a new design now that works even better than those 3 filters. So I have for municipal tap water, municipal tap water normally it's already treated by the government. So the TOC capacity is normally feeding our system requirements, below our system requirements. So there will be no issue with capacity and TOC or SDI issues. So the only thing is chlorine. chlorine can damage the membrane, and we can just have anti-chlorine dosing before the IO system. That's it. This is only for TDS below 250, and if you want to make sure, if you want to increase the system recovery rate, this is for low recovery rate design, below 50%. 50% is also acceptable with this design, but below 50, if you want to achieve high recovery rate, you can add anti-scalene dosing. So 2 dosing system with the RO, that's it. You don't need those 3 columns anymore for municipal water to water. PP filter is already doing the job of particle removal better than sand filter. Then why do you need sand filter?
Well, the sand filter can be backwashed.
Yeah.
PP you cannot backwash.
Yeah.
So then you have to change PP every week.
If you are using municipal water, you have to change your PP every week, right? Municipal water, no, municipal water doesn't need to, every month is okay now, right?
Every month, yeah.
Yeah, every month.
Yeah.
But that PP filter is so cheap.
Yes.
The cost of PP filter, should I say price here?
That's fine.
Let's say $1. Okay, let's say $1. 20 inch, $1. And that's 12 months, $12. How much is a sand filter? For $100, right? So the replacement of PP filter for 10 years, you can buy 1 sand filter. And sand filter, do you know the filtration efficiency of sand filter?
Very bad.
Very bad. So what's the point of using sand filter?
Well, for municipal water, you don't need the sand filter.
That's right. Okay, so this is for municipal water. Okay, so this is for TDS above 250. So, yeah, this is only, so you only have this, okay?
So you have 2 dosing systems.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. And for well water, below 2000 ppm, coagulation, sand filter, and Desalination, that's it. This kind of design suits for 80% of the projects.
So we're just using more chemicals now.
Yes.
And you've done the calculation that it's cheaper than having the sand filter and the carbon and the stuff.
And also very effective because coagulation might be an option depending on the turbidity level, but this I put here, this is actually option because coagulants is not that cheap, but if you have high turbidity level or high SDI level, this is the cheapest way actually, because there's no other way you can remove SDI rather than using UF. But UF is way too expensive, right? So this is actually the cheapest way if the SDI level from the raw water is higher than the requirements of the RO. Okay. This is option depending on the SDI level, but anti-scalene is pretty standard. So sand anti-scalene might be also okay, and this is the perfect one. Okay, and how about carbon? You can ask, oh, what about carbon? Previously, we always design carbon in the pretreatments. What happens if we remove the carbon? Remember, carbon is to make sure we remove chlorine from the water to avoid damage the membrane, and also some organic matters. And SDI, remember, SDI is also the main reading of organic matters, the amount of organic matters in the water. So if we coagulants with sand filter can actually, they can capture all those organic matter into a bigger particle, and that will be filtered through sand filter already. So actually these two already doing the job of sand and some job of carbon filter. And anti-scalene is doing perfect job, better job than water softener. Okay, let me let you know the limitation of water softener. water softener only workable for feed water TDS below 1000 ppm. Maybe sometimes less than that because it depending on the sodium chloride level in the raw water. If you have high sodium chloride in the raw water, that's salt. That will not make the water softener work, and the output of water softener will have some hardness leak out. Okay, then anti-scalene doesn't have this issue. Anti-scalene basically it doesn't remove hardness, but it prevents calcium bicarbonates to join together. So basically, it's a middleman. Like like when you go to a party, you want to meet a girl, and the anti-scalene guy comes in between you and the girl, and you guys can never meet. So this is the idea. Okay, and this actually is a perfect how to say, perfect idea for brackish water as well and seawater. For brackish water and seawater, imagine the ppm is so high, like 10,000 ppm. Imagine in the room with 10,000 people, and you and the girl is from one end, and the girl is from the other end. So the scalding potential is actually less with brackish and seawater because the girl, if you want to reach to that girl, you need to pass by a lot of people, right? It takes a lot of time. So scale can actually happen more easily when TDS is below, when TDS between 500 to 2000 ppm. Okay, the higher TDS you have, actually the scalding potential, you don't need to worry that much. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so brackish water desalination. So this is another one. The only difference is when TDS is above 2000, you need to have permeate flush. Permeate flush this is permeate tank. There's a pump. There's always a pump, right? At the permeate tank, and you just need to have a T at the outlet of the permeate pump, and that T connects back to the feed of the RO pump. So that when the tank is full, you deliver the water to flush the system with pure water. Why do we need to do that? Because sodium chloride can eat up metal components when the system stands by. When the system is running, it's okay because when the system is running, water keeps running. It doesn't have the time to eat up. It can still eat up the carbon compounds from the metal components, but it's very slowly. But when the system stands by, then it eats up very quickly. So the corrosion usually happens when the water is sitting on a metal components for a long period of time. Understand?
Yes.
Okay.
But
so
you explain to me afterwards how to actually do this.
I don't want to explain too much detail because you will copy the machine yourself. I know you. No, you can do that. You can. Okay. I'll explain because it's nothing special, but you need to know how to use PLC. Do you have people?
Yeah.
Do you have people knowing how to use PLC?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So maybe you can play with some relay, but maybe have some problem. But so basically, when the tank is full, in a typical system, we just run flush, right, for 30 seconds. Before we shut down.
Yeah.
It's automatically. But instead of that, we close this valve, open this valve, then let the water in, because this has a pressure switch, high pressure switch. When this opens, high pressure switch release, pump start to run automatically. Water comes in. Then flush valve opens, water comes out like this. This pump doesn't have to be open, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Just open this valve, close this valve, open this valve, for 60 seconds. And after 60 seconds, close all these four valves and let the system stand by.
Okay.
And when the water level is low, system start to run again, right?
Yes.
Automatically. That's it.
Okay.
Very simple, huh?
Very simple.
Iron. Remember, iron cannot take care of anti-scaling cannot take care of iron issues. So that's why I have come up another design. If you have feed iron level above 1 ppm, then this should be the design. Chlorination, DMS65, dechlorination dosing, anti-scaling dosing. That's it.
Okay.
If you are still worried, you can have carbon filter afterwards. But I feel it's not that necessary if you know exactly how to design the DMS65 properly and you know exactly what to control. Okay, it's just something for you to remember. There's a calculator, I think I already sent it to you. Depending on the flow rates and iron level in the water, you can calculate what should be the size of the system you should, what should be the vessel size that you should design the DMS64.
Okay.
Yeah, you can use that calculator to find out the suitable size. Then after that, remember to tell customer, because I found a lot of people forget about this. You have to activate this. You have to activate the media before use. Open the top. Fill the water. Fill the water in first. Open the top. Pour chlorine, sodium hypochlorite in as much as you can, and let it soak. Let it soak for at least 3 hours. You can put it for overnight. The longer it's soaked, the better it works.
Okay.
Put it for overnight. In the morning, flush all the chlorine out. Then this is only one time. This is only required to be done at the initial startup. After that, you don't need to do that anymore. The media is already activated, because after that you will have chlorine dosing anyways continuously, but at a very low dosage rate. But if you don't do that, there's a chance that manganese can leak out. Manganese can block the membrane. Okay? Manganese looks black.
So you must activate it.
Yes, you must activate it, and second thing is to always monitor the residue chlorine at the outlet of iron removal. The residue chlorine should be maintained at 0.1 ppm. Okay, 0.1 ppm means all the chlorine is oxidated with iron, and there's still some remaining at the outlet. That meaning the dosage is at the right dosage. The dosage of chlorine is at the right rate, at the minimum rate. If you have 0.2, that means maybe too much chlorine here. If you have 0.5, way too much. And if you have too much chlorine, then you might need larger dosage rate for the anti-chlorine dosing, or or if you have carbon afterwards, then the lifespan of the carbon will be much shorter than you expected. Because if you don't have this, if you just use carbon, how are you going to tell the free chlorine level at the outlet of carbon? Because how can you tell when the carbon becomes saturated? And if you didn't measure, if you didn't tell on time, chlorine will damage the membrane permanently. Okay, and if you're having chlorine dosing, you don't need to worry, because I have chlorine dosing all the time. Even there's a free chlorine here, but yeah, then we can ensure all the time that there's no chlorine to the feed of our. But it's very important that you monitor the free chlorine here so that you can have the correct dosage rate here. Okay?
Okay.
So this is the design for the iron removal system. Water that has high content of iron. Very simple. Cooling tower blow down recycling. So it's also like this: coagulation, sand filter, dechlorination, and descalant. Because in cooling tower there's also chlorine, so we have chlorine dosing. Okay.
Okay.
So that's all the example system design, and let me show you how a V-star dosing calculation software looks like.
So this software is only Windows, eh?
Yeah, but I cannot give you this because this is only for authorized distributor, and they don't want this to be leaked out. The reason for that because a lot of people are using this software. A lot of competitors actually are using this software to calculate how much dosage their chemical can be dosed. So be very careful. Yeah, so be very careful. We don't leak out this software to competitors.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so I will just load in the previous project that I was working on. Open that. Oh, it's so slow. Yeah. Is Sylvia still there?
Yes, she's here.
Okay.
Next to me, yeah. So let's say hello again.
Hi, Jeff.
Do you have any questions?
No, not this one.
And no question at all? And yeah,
I just got
yeah.
mentioned, and then if I have questions, I'll put them together.
Okay, sure. Quotation. Okay, this is for one of the project that has very high silica. Okay, and I was trying to design the systems for 75% recovery rate, and I found that there's a maximized button here. When I pressed, system automatically calculate what would be the maximum recovery rate the system can achieve. And excuse me. And I surprisingly found, holy cow! You see, the recovery rate 94%. And the dosage rate is even less. Okay, I try to play with this. You see, different recovery rate shows different results of falling potential. So if I go to 95%, calcium fluoride will causing the falling issue. So the maximum can go only up to 94%. And if I go lower, the dosage rate will be even higher. Do you understand why? Okay, there's one major advantage with a V-star chemical is that all the anti-scalant in the markets can only last for minutes. What does that mean? Only means, for example, if calcium and bicarbonates, boy and girl wants to meet up, this middleman only lasts 4 minutes before he left. Before he left, then eventually these two components meet up together. 4 minutes only. But a VTEC anti-scalant can last for whole day long. But when water passing through our membranes, it can only be few seconds. So typically the the anti-scalant in the market can still work. However, if you have concentrate recirculates, you are recycling concentrate back to the feed of the hour again. That will increase the overall contact time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that will not be able for the typical anti-scalant in the market to work out with maximum recovery rate, because if you want to achieve maximum recovery rate, you need to recycle a lot of concentrate water back. Then no other anti-scalant supplier in the markets can tells you how much recovery rate you can achieve. Only this software. That's why it makes so cutting edge, because the Avista chemical can last for whole day long, and if you want to increase the recovery rates, actually you require less chemical dosing at the feed, because the feed water requirements is less. You understand?
Yes.
So the key advantage for Avista's chemical is actually you can increase a lot of the system recovery rate, but still remember, don't say that unless we have full analysis, unless we have given you the report. But
Okay.
this is the general idea that you can say to the customer. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is anti-scalant. Coagulation. For coagulation, we cannot find out. For coagulation, we cannot find out the dosage rate, because it has to be tested on site. How to test? First of all, you have to measure, for example, SDI level. Before feeding to the multimedia sand filter and after the multimedia sand filter, what is the SDI in and out? For example, if the SDI was 5 without coagulants, the outlet of SDI will be probably 4. Then that's still, off limits to the feed of the RO. Then you have to use coagulants. Then after you apply coagulant, you play with the dosage rate until you find the right SDI level that you want to remove from the multimedia sand filter, and that dosage rate will be the dosage rate for that water. Because the reason we cannot calculate this, because every water is so different, and there's no chemical analysis can give you the reference to tell you how much organic matter and how much particles in the water.
Okay.
If there is, it will be very costly, because we have to measure how much particles of 1 micron in the water, how much particle of 5 micron in the water, and that will be too costly, and nobody's doing that. So the fastest way to find out the coagulant dosing is to do it on site when there is a problem, to find out the dosage rate. So this is coagulants. And dechlorination is also very simple. Just input the feed flow and how much free chlorine you are getting from the feed hour. For example, 0.2. Okay, then choosing the chemical, then it automatically tells you how much dosage you will need. Okay, so this is for big project. I think this is for 30 cubic meters per hour, but you only need 20 kg. That's about 1 pail per month. Okay, so that's the software. Okay, the most powerful part is the anti-scalant. Okay.
Okay.
So that's it for the software. Do you have any questions? Because I think that's pretty much all.
I think I'm going to play this video to my staff.
Okay.
And then we'll submit a list of questions to you.
Okay. And
there are some questions that I have, but I'll ask you after this.
why? Oh, you don't. So I just stop the recording.
No, it's fine. You can let it continue. For things like for the coagulant,
Yes.
Does that, the coagulant brings all the particles together, right?
Yes.
Now, does it need time to settle or mix with each other with the water?
That's a very good question. Yes. For the feed pipe of the multimedia, you have to leave 5 meters long. So you have the feeding points of coagulant should be 5 meters away from multimedia centrifuger.
So you could then put it in before the raw water.
No, you cannot. You have to put it after the pump. Because the reason for that is because when the big particle is generated, it's very soft. It's very soft flux. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like cloudy. It's like cloud flux. Okay. It's very soft. You cannot even install a static mixer. Do you know what is static mixer?
Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot even install that. You have to let that cloud flux to be generated within minimum 5 meters long. Then it will be filtered through multimedia cell.
I thought we could let it settle in the raw water tank.
No, it doesn't. Only flocculants. Flocculants basically is doing the job of settling those things down. But coagulants doesn't.
Okay.
In the market, they generally use ferric chloride as coagulants. Ferric chloride and sulfuric something, I forgot, but it's either sulfuric. Huh?
Ferric chloride, food grade. Do you get food grade?
I don't think so. I don't know. This is ferric chloride is very cheap, but this is the typical coagulants in the market they use for wastewater treatment. But but that kind of coagulant is not 100% suitable for our, because a lot of time overdose will causing high iron level at the outlet. Ferric is iron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't control the dosage rate well, then it may end up falling the membrane as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the coagulants that Avista doesn't have all these things, and it doesn't harm the membrane at all. And I have actually letters from Dow, Hydronetics, Torre, CSM here. I will update it to our website as well. And Avista is the only company that those big company, those membrane manufacturers recommend their brand. Okay, they are the only brand they recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll also have this. Yeah. You give me all the prices.
I already give you by email. Okay.
No. I saw the email already.
Okay.
And we'll offer it to all our customers.
Okay.
And I'll also show them this video as well.
So Cynthia, do you think this is helpful for you?
Yes, it will help us because we receive a lot of analysis, and most of the time the membranes do get blocked up because of the fact that we're using standard design of standard
That's right.
carbon.
That's right.
We also do here. And the biggest problem we find now is with SDI, TOC as well
Yes.
in the water.
Yes.
And previous to that, we couldn't handle it because membranes were getting blocked up because of that.
That's
but
right.
now we have the coagulants that will assist as well with the high turbidity levels, because people normally in an analysis you cannot see SDI levels. Nobody tests SDI as well.
That's right.
And we also find that we have a high level of iron as well, but DMI 65 is also taking care of that.
Yes.
So that's good. But the problem in water mostly that we've seen here in South Africa and Africa itself is the actual dirt, the particles in water.
Yes.
So with this new chemicals, okay, it's actually old, new for us,
Yes.
is that it's the chemicals now. But
Yeah.
what I'm afraid of as well in South Africa is people do not like to use too much of chemicals as well. That's the thing. But obviously, in terms of productivity and sustainability of the membranes,
Yes.
like lasting years, customers would have to look at that. So we have to sell them on the idea because
That's right.
South Africa is price. So we're going to tell them, listen, you're going to not spend for 10 years, but you're going to spend now.
Yes.
So it's value.
Yes.
So it's a good thing. And I'm sure that myself and my staff, we would take this forward because it's new technology. People are just doing UF and, it's working, but it's expensive.
Yes, that's right. Cool. Okay.
So coagulation is going to help us, which is great for Vista. And obviously the new product, the anti-scaling as well. We use parts of scaling, so that helps us as well. Okay.
Yeah, for coagulants, to be honest, you can try to see the difference between Avista's one and the other Genesis or the other competitors to see the difference. You can, because by the end of the day, you have to do this test by your own anyways to find out the difference in SDI, right? So this is one thing you can find out the difference, but for anti-scaling is something I'm very confident with, and this is something I'm sure that other competitors doesn't have. And I think after 1 or 2 months, Avista will come up a test kit that will be able to let us use as a sales, that we can show the customer in front of the customer, show the difference between competitors anti-scaling and Avista's anti-scaling. They have a test kit that can show the result directly.
The most important thing in this whole thing for Avista with the anti-scaling is the fact that the membrane must last longer.
Yes.
That's what's the core, because membranes are expensive.
That's right.
If you can show people value, then it makes us a better, supplier of the product. So that's what we want at the end of the day. Cool. And our problem in South Africa mostly is scale, and scale is your cations, your anions. Those are all the things. And it's only until a few years ago that we actually introduced onto an analysis silica in water, because people didn't know what silica was actually doing.
That's right.
Normally talk about calcium and magnesium. Yes. Now we have some that's going to assist with this, because silica really cannot be removed out of water.
Yes.
It's actually it's actually your Vista is your middleman, which is never going to make meat, boy and girl meat ever, with the correct calculation as well.
That's right.
But the thing as well is that we receive a lot of analysis. I receive a lot of analysis as well every single day. Now, my issue is my time to go back to my customers. How would we look at this now? Because I get an analysis. I'm going to ask customer for everything. How are we going to handle this now? I know that you are busy. I know, do we have a person that we're going to send this through to work out the calculation for us, or how is this going to work? Obviously, the software, as you said, is not going to be available to us. It's going to be available to us. Okay, all right. So, then that's streamlined. That can be worked out as well. So I'm sure Vista is going to work nicely for us, because we're going to say to customers now, you're not going to be spending as much as before in terms of membranes.
Okay, first of all, if you are able to use ROSA, then I will give you this software as well. But right now you need to know how to use ROSA, because this is the first software, the basic software that you should use. Avista is more advanced. So I think ROSA already can give you the calculation of scaling potentials already. Okay, try to use that first.
All right. Yeah. Do you use ROSA?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Really?
We all using MacBooks here. So everything is Apple at Purity Tech. So we have to download it onto another computer to use it. Okay. I don't like to have that parallel stuff and all of that to load our Windows.
But anyways, for the reports, we will try our best. Okay, I think I can get you back very fast. And also, Miko is able to use the software as well. So if you want any report to be generated from Avista, send to both of us. By the way, Peter is leaving.
Oh,
yes. So, but it's okay. I will have a new guy coming, and I will teach them how to use it.
Where's Peter going to? The competitors?
No. Of course not. Peter is because his father is having some issues, health issues, and he has to take care of his father, and he recently cannot concentrate a lot of work during working hour, so he thought maybe it's time. But
Okay.
I feel that's an excuse. I feel he's kind of lost, but I need to talk to him again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Just say
Yeah.